Hello, my name is Cheryl Meyer, otherwise known as Cheryl M. Health Muse, and I am a health coach. I want to welcome you to my podcast, It Feels Good to Feel Good, Future-Proof Your Health. This is a weekly show that will share lifestyle changes that you can make to support your health yourself. Why do I want to share this information with you? 7 years ago, after being a business owner for 20 years, I woke up one morning in horrific pain where every bone and every joint in my body hurt. I went to the doctor. She ran lots of tests, and then she ran some more, and then she ran some more, and finally she called me and announced she was going to give me steroids, but there was absolutely nothing wrong with me and I should seek therapy. I knew something was wrong. I hurt. So she told me I would be on steroids for the rest of my life, and I refused that I was going to have a life of pain and pills. So why was I going to take steroids if there was nothing wrong with me? So I dug in and started researching, and I turned my business over to my staff. I found a functional doctor who confirmed that I had autoimmune disease by making a series of significant lifestyle changes that I could do for myself. 5 years later, I had returned to relative health. The best part is that I am now 70, and I feel better now than I did when I was 50. I no longer hurt, which is huge. I will always have autoimmune disease, but losing the pain has been amazing. I went back to school at 67 and became a health coach because I want to share everything that I learned with others. And I wrote a book called It Feels Good to Feel Good, Learn to Eliminate Toxins, Reduce Inflammation, and Feel Great Again, as the manual I wished that I had had when I got sick, and my book has won 13 awards. So whether you want to future-proof your health and grow old with dignity and grace without dementia and chronic pain and disease, which you don't need to get, or whether or not you already have a chronic condition like autoimmune disease or cancer or heart disease, and you want to learn about what things you can do to improve your long-term health, or whether you want to improve the health of your families and raise healthy children, because 53% of our children have a chronic condition, I look forward to sharing all this information with you. I will tell you, it truly does feel good to feel good, so let's get started. I look forward to having you join me here every week, and I want to give you hope that if you have chronic pain or chronic disease, you can make changes that will improve your health. And if you don't want to go there, you're going to be fine if you listen to the show and put these things into work. I want to give you information so that you can grow old and have a better tomorrow. So thank you for joining me. Let's get started. Hello, welcome to a special edition of It Feels Good to Feel Good, Future-Proof Your Health. And today I want to talk about holiday stress, because this holiday is going to be a little unique, and there are always stressors at the holidays. So I want to talk about them up front so that you're prepared for how you're going to handle them so that you have the best holiday possible for yourself and create a festive holiday for your family and your loved ones. The holidays are really the best of times and the worst of times. Our tidings of comfort and joy can easily be devoured by the insatiable stress to do it all, be it all, and buy it all. That stress has absolutely nothing to do with ho, 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 and it increases the risk of illness and even death. So one study suggested holiday stress and overindulgence may help explain the soaring rate of fatal heart attacks in December and in January. And if you're somebody who does have heart disease, I just published a podcast with a heart disease survivor who had multiple heart attacks, almost died on the table, took it seriously, owned his own health, and has come back and went on to win the Senior Olympics in running. So if you have a heart issue, Go back and take a look at that podcast because it is loaded with all kinds of valuable information for you. And he's offering his free book on how to recover from heart illness. But there are more heart attacks in December and January, and my tips will help you avoid that. It is possible to avoid the holiday frenzy without feeling frantic. And so planning ahead and knowing how is important. Since the holidays are just around the corner, it's time to plan how you're going to keep stress at bay for the holiday season. Stress often gets much more intense in the season of holiday joy and goodwill. Doesn't sound like it would, but we all have a little bit of perfectionism in us, and that creates a whole lot of stress that I want to avoid. Planning now around the holiday triggers for stress will make it a much more enjoyable season. So the key is to plan and minimize the stress level as much as possible. So these are the pitfalls of the season and my suggestions to minimize the stress. The first one is it's time to plan ahead. Creating an action plan can actually relieve stress and keep your stress at bay because you have an action plan so you know exactly what you have to do and you can refer back to it and make changes to it as it needs be as you go along through the season. This also allows you to prioritize things that are most important to you. You'll also be less likely to forget important things if you have a list. Number 2 on my list is always, always, always put yourself first. It actually is not selfish to put yourself first because if you don't fill up your cup, you can't possibly have enough in your cup to take care of everyone you love. So make sure that you are high up on the priority list. There's such a huge focus on the holidays on giving. It can be easy to forget about you. So taking care of yourself will improve your mood and make it much easier for you to take care of all your loved ones. Set aside time to do the things that you enjoy. Find your time to exercise, get a few minutes of fresh air every day, and don't forget the importance of a regular good night's sleep. Remember the study at Berkeley that called Why We Sleep? He declares that sleep is more important than even stress to your long-term health, and getting 7 continual hours of sleep is the key to good health. So to be your most loving self, fill your cup, and then you have plenty to dole out to everybody else that you love as you go along. Number 3, don't ignore the things that crack you up. Humor is an important element of joy and of health. So do things that are silly. Even in my Facebook group, my private Facebook group, I try to post something silly every couple of days because we all need to take a moment to laugh and we all need to feel that moment of joy by reading something silly and then enjoying it with the group. Laughing like crazy actually reduces stress hormones. If you're starting to feel yourself get depressed, walk into the bathroom, look at yourself, and laugh out loud. It's practically impossible to hear yourself laughing or somebody else laughing and stay down because it just makes you want to smile. It's very funny to hear laughter and it goes through your whole body. So if you feel the need for it, go laugh at yourself. I even recorded myself laughing and posted it in my private Facebook group because we all need to be able to laugh and laugh robustly when we need it. Number 4, doing too much and not being afraid to say no. It's okay to say no, and the more that you say it, the easier it gets. Say yes to the things that you really want to do that bring you joy, but say no to the obligations that you have that cause you heartache and disappointment. If working a few extra hours at the holiday time allows you to buy that television set for your mother that you know she really wants, then by all means do that. But if your neighbor next door who you don't know very much and who you're not crazy about wants you to bake 5 different kinds of cookies, it's perfectly okay for you to say no. So make sure that you take care of yourself because you'll be happy that you did. Concentrate on the things that are truly important to create fun family and friend traditions. Learn to say no to things you really don't want to do. To be your most loving self, remember, you must fill your own cup first. I would put that on my mirror so that you don't forget. Fill your own cup up first so that you have stuff in your cup that you can dole out freely to the people you love most. Number 6, do less and enjoy more. Don't go overboard to please others during the holidays. And I think we all have a tendency to want to do this. Shopping, cooking, sending cards. Instead, take care of yourself by saying no at least once and maybe even more. And then don't go crazy. Keep it under control. Do what you're comfortable to do at your own pace. Number 7, spending too much. Create a budget now and then stick to it. I have a big issue with this. I seem to think I'm Santa Claus, so I go a little berserk when I'm buying presents for my family, and I can't be with my family even under normal circumstances at Christmas time because they live a long ways away. So I make myself present by doing all kinds of things for Christmas, and I'm aware that I do that. And I buy crazy Christmas hats for them every year, and I've done it for over 10 years, and I'm running out of crazy Christmas hat ideas, but every year they take a picture of themselves all in my crazy hat or headgear and send it to me, which makes me feel like I was still part of their celebration. But you don't have to go berserk like I do, and I'm trying to learn to make a budget and stay within that budget. So if you overextend your budget, it inevitably will create stress. So try asking people for what they want so that you're not shooting in the dark. Remember, it has nothing to do with how much you spend. It has to do with how special your gift is for that person who's special in your life that you love. It could even be homemade, and with isolation this year, we have more time to make gifts. So that's a good way to save money on your budget and still bring joy and happiness to someone. When I have new godchildren or a new baby in my life, my husband goes to work and makes them a Christmas stocking. So each child has gotten a Christmas stocking at about the time of their birth that they will have for the rest of their lives. It's an act of love that brings tremendous joy, but it takes a lot of time, but not a lot of money, and that's the kind of thing that you can do. You can always start a family gift exchange and then exchange the gifts over a Zoom party because we can't get together this year. So if everybody pulls a number, first of which gift they're going to get, and then everybody pulls a number for what gift they're going to give, you can actually have a Zoom party and open the gift for the person that you're going to give the gift to in front of them on Zoom and then mail it to them after the party. Making holiday fun does not mean breaking the bank, so make sure you don't give in to unrealistic expectations. Number 8, be generous in ways that don't cost money, but that do bring joy. Give more compliments. Do an errand for a loved one. I know you can't do it in the house this year because we're isolated, but you could run an errand and leave it on their doorstep, and it could be something that was really appreciated by the person you did it for because they don't have time to do it for themselves, and what a lovely thing for you to give to them. Relieve somebody that you love by doing a chore for them. Maybe there's leaves that have piled up in their yard right before Thanksgiving, and you could go over there and rake them for them. Take a look and ask them, is there something you could do for them where you don't have to get close? You can still be socially isolated, but you could do something really nice as a present to them. Write a funny poem for somebody that you love, or send a funny card. buy a silly, inexpensive gift and mail it to them. Kind of like my antler hat thing that I do every year. I have done crazy Christmas hats, crazy elf hats. I've done crazy Christmas sunglasses. You name it, I have done it for my family because I want them to giggle and they want them to remember that I'm the person that made them giggle. So you can think of what would be appropriate for your own loved ones. Number 9, don't eat the wrong foods and don't eat too much. Plan out your holiday eating now. With a little bit of planning, you can stay true to healthy eating guidelines. Learn to take recipes and trade out ingredients that are not good for you or your family. In my second book, Feeling Good, Living Low Toxin, I actually have a use this, not that exchange list. And that's what I use when I cook. I used to only use paleo or vegan recipes. I don't do that anymore. I look up whatever I want to make online, and then I use my use this, not that ingredient exchange list, and I convert any recipe to something that's very healthy for me and my family. And you can do the same thing. So pick up a copy of my book and give it a try. It's fun, and you'd be surprised how much healthier it is, but that it still tastes rather significantly fabulous. So as an example, you would trade out almond flour for wheat flour. And if you're going to use wheat flour, please make sure that it's organic wheat flour because it's one of the things that is drenched in glyphosate, which we know causes cancer for us. So if you don't want to trade out your wheat flour, at least use organic wheat flour. Trade ghee for butter or margarine. Use maple syrup or honey instead of sugar. Cut it in half. You don't need all that sweet. Make mashed potatoes out of cauliflower. My very first client wanted to learn how to cook healthier. She told me her husband was only meat and potatoes and that he would never eat something like mashed cauliflowers. I said, let's try an experiment. Let's make mashed cauliflowers and not tell him and just serve it to him. And when dinner was over, he told her they were the best mashed potatoes he had ever eaten in his life. So don't be afraid to upgrade and make healthier substitutions for your family because they just might love them. Make brown rice instead of white rice. Make sure the rice that you're making is California rice because rice from other areas has a lot of arsenic in it. Use sustainable meats. By sustainable, I mean the animal eats his own specific diet. So it's grass-fed, grass-finished beef because a cow is made to eat grass. You don't want them eating GMO corn because what your animal eats that you're eating is what you're eating, and GMO corn is loaded with Bt toxin. If it's fish, make sure it's wild caught. And if it's chicken or turkey, make sure he runs free out in the field because when he runs free, he not only tastes better, but he's eating what his specific diet is, which means he's eating grasses and berries and insects, all of which make him taste yummy. Then limit your protein to the size of a deck of cards. You don't need more protein than that, so that'll make it so that you're exchanging the same amount of money for your protein source, but you're getting quality protein instead of some icky protein that has all kinds of stress hormones in it, which you don't need. You've got plenty of your own. So it allows you to afford quality protein. And whatever you choose to do, whether you choose to be vegan or you choose to be paleo, by keeping in mind that food quality matters, makes a huge difference. So make sure you do that even at the holidays. Next up, when you're taking care of your food, don't allow yourself to get crazy hungry because if you do that, you're going to start making bad food choices. So plan to have healthy snacks available for you and your family. I actually have a whole couple of blogs on my website, SherylMHealthMuse.com, where I talk about how to make healthy crackers, I talk about healthy dips, I talk about how easy it is to make your own hummus and other things that you can dip things in. There's all kinds of things that you can make that are healthy. Guacamole and just carrots and celery. are a lovely thing to eat before a meal. They're super healthy for you. Avocado's loaded with healthy omega-3 fats. So make sure that your snacks are healthy and make sure you don't get crazy hungry. If you're going to go to somebody else's house for dinner, or if you're going to go to an outdoor party for the holidays. Now, I'm in California, so we could actually have an outdoor party. Some of you are in freezing weather, so it's not likely that you're going to have an outdoor party. But if you are in an area like Arizona or California where you can have an outdoor party and you're invited to go to a holiday meal where you're going to remain socially distanced, but you're going to enjoy the holiday in a family grouping, then you take your own food, so that, take enough for everybody, but take enough so that you're not hungry and you get enough so that you get to eat food that's still very healthy for you, no matter what your diet is. John and I do that all the time. Nobody minds if I want to bring my own food because they know I'm coming because I love them to death and I want to be there with the group. So it has nothing to do with what I put in my mouth. So make sure that you don't give up the way you normally eat so that you can join somebody's holiday party. And if you want to, then that way you have plenty to eat because you've brought something that you can eat, and then have little bits of what the hostess has cooked so that you feel like you're joining in with all of them. A little taste or two of food that you would not normally eat will probably not harm you. Now, I have 18 food sensitivity, so I'm not likely to do that because it might set off my inflammation and my autoimmune disease, but most of you don't have those issues, so go ahead and have a few bites of everything that's there. I have given all of my family and my closest friends paleo cookbooks, so they know the food that I can eat up front. They love me and they want me to enjoy their cooking, so they don't mind when I'm coming for dinner to use one of those cookbooks to cook their meal. But don't make them feel like they're obligated to cook special for you, because they're not. You can bring something that you can eat and let them be off the hook. You just want to be there to enjoy and share your love for them. Remember, the holidays are all about community. You don't need to eat anything that you don't think is healthy, and you don't need to eat more than you usually would just because you're enjoying the community. You're there to enjoy your loving family and friends. Next, indulge in moderation. Indulge in foods that you may only have once a year, and don't forget the importance of healthy eating for that either. Now, one thing John and I did last Christmas that I want to share is we made a list of all of our family favorites. The foods that my mother used to make, the foods that John and his wife used to make, the foods that his grandmother used to make. We made a list of those recipes, and then we figured out how we could make them healthy. So I took grass-fed gelatin and made my mother's strawberry parfait pie. Now, I didn't make it with milk or with ice cream. I did make it with almond vanilla ice cream, and I made it with real strawberries and not Jell-O. I made a mess. I will tell you, I had strawberry gelatin, chiffon gelatin all over the kitchen, but I had a granite countertop, thank God, so I got it all cleaned up. But my strawberry chiffon pie turned out rather sensational, and it didn't have any of the nasty ingredients that the old version that my mother used to make had. And when she was making it, it didn't have nasty ingredients, but over time, the food industry has changed all that stuff to be stuff that I'm not putting in my body. I also took my favorite recipe that was given to me when I got married the first time, back in 1969, for a spinach casserole that took all kinds of ingredients that I wouldn't use anymore, and I cleaned it up. I did use brown rice instead of white rice. I did use vegan cheese, and there's a new wonderful Colby mixture of vegan cheeses that I used in it. It took Worcestershire sauce, which I wouldn't use anymore because that has MSG and things in it that I don't know what they are. So instead, I used a little bit of fish sauce, which is what Worcestershire actually is. Who knew? And so I did the onion, I did all of the eggs, all of the other stuff that went into my spinach casserole, and it became a much healthier version of my spinach casserole, and it turned out rather sensational, if I do say so for myself. Now, my husband was really missing, and I'm probably going to mispronounce it, klopkis, which are Polish cabbage rolls. We have somebody in Sedona that actually makes us homemade V8 juice. So instead of using canned tomato product, we used our homemade V8 juice to make the klopkis. And he and his daughter, at a responsible distance, wrapped up the cabbage rolls and then cooked them, and we all had that meal together. But it was a cleaned up version of klopkis. So it was delicious. So just because you're eating healthier now doesn't mean you can't still eat healthy and still enjoy your family favorites. And don't forget that 1 glass of eggnog probably won't hurt you, but you could make it with almond milk instead of dairy. Or 5 sugar cookies for breakfast are probably not good for you, but having one isn't going to be the end of you. And I do make shortbread cookies, and the recipe is in my holiday recipe section on my blog. I make, by Danielle Walker, Walker's shortbread cookies. Cracks me up that her last name is the same as the famous brand. And believe it or not, I make them with ghee, and they taste pretty much like the real thing, only they're a totally cleaned up version of the recipe. So remember, you can still make your family favorites, but you don't have to make them with all the old icky ingredients. If you do decide to eat something that does have all the old icky ingredients, just don't eat a lot of it, and it might very well make you ill. I'm going to warn you. And what I want to tell you is my famous candy story. California has a candy company that is renowned, and I personally think they make the best candy in the world. I grew up on it. I won't say what it is because the story will tell you why I don't want to advertise for them this way. I hadn't eaten any of this candy for a very long time, and I parked someplace close by a grocery store where there was a candy store by this company, and I decided, oh, what the heck. It's been several years since I indulged on a piece of their candy, so I went in and I bought 1 piece. I couldn't believe how much I did not like it. I couldn't even eat it. I had bought a bar that was about this big, and I didn't even eat half of it because I hadn't eaten it for so long. My taste buds no longer wanted to enjoy that in any way, size, mean, or form. So if you decide you want to have one of your old favorites, if you've been eating really clean, don't be surprised if it doesn't taste like you remembered it tasting. Because now that your body is enjoying the beautiful taste of real food, it may not be so sensational anymore. Okay, number 10, drinking too much. Keep your alcohol intake under control. It's important on so many levels. A glass of wine or a cocktail is just fine to relax you, but if you have several of them, it might leave you feeling not so hot the next day, and you'll be sorry that you did. You want to remain true to yourself. Even if you're at a virtual party, you want to be you, and if you have multiple cocktails, you might not be. So make sure that you enjoy 1 or maybe 2, and then you call it quits. I used to have 1 drink and then switch to seltzer water with a couple of drops of Rose's lime. And nobody knew I wasn't drinking alcohol, but I also was enjoying being at the party and not getting tipsy. So do it whatever way makes you feel good. Just don't make it Diet Coke or real Coke because they're like that. They're not good for you no matter what. If you do it my way, you'll find that my Rose's water with a drop of lime is very refreshing and nobody knows you're not drinking. Okay, number 11, too much family. This year it will be easier because get-togethers are most likely going to be virtual, but family stressors could still occur. It's wonderful to spend time with the family during the holidays because it's the season of love. But make sure that you protect your alone time too and that you replenish. It is the season of love, Family gatherings often will place roles on people for what they think they used to be. You know, I've changed a lot over the years, and if I'm seeing an old family member that hasn't seen me, they may think I'm somebody that I'm not anymore, and that could grate on my nerves. So make sure if you have a family member who is always reminding you of something that isn't you, pull them aside before the family gathering and explain to them that you know how much they love you. And so you know that they'll appreciate that you want them to see you for who you are today and not who you used to be. Let them know what your limits are before the get together so that that doesn't become an issue. Number 12, too little family. If you don't have family to share the holidays with, make sure you plan a virtual get-together with your extended family, the friends that love and support you no matter where they are. And this is a very good year to do that, because if you're having a virtual get-together, all of your friends that know each other could gather together on one call, and you could enjoy them thoroughly. Just because you don't have immediate family doesn't mean that you don't have loved ones. Depression is a pitfall of the holidays, so if you don't seek out the close relationships in your life, you could get down. Surround yourself with the people that you know love you. Reach out to old friends and catch up by email, or make phone calls and catch up with their lives by phone. Create your own loving community. Volunteer for people who really need loving support. If you're active on social media, post that you'd be more than happy to do a Zoom call with anybody who's feeling down, that you'll set aside a 10-minute slot for everybody who needs someone to give them a little bit of love and care and to talk to. That would be a lovely thing for you to do that you can do in social isolation, and it could make somebody else's life very special. Improve your own mood with sunlight by taking a walk when you get lonely. Do a gratitude exercise every morning when you arise. Just put 5 things down on your list each day that you're grateful for. I do this every morning, and I do it because it changes my mindset to positive no matter how I'm feeling when I get up in the morning. If I take time to recognize the 5 things I'm grateful for from the day before, that puts a smile on my face and sets me off on the right foot for the entire day. Make sure that you laugh and smile. Remember going into the bathroom and laughing at yourself? If you're feeling down in any way, or if you feel like you don't have enough people out there that love you to share the holidays with, then become your own best friend and go laugh at yourself. It will cheer up your mood and make you feel better. Number 13, don't work too hard to impress the in-laws. Have a conversation with your spouse that you love him or her with all your heart. But this holiday, no matter what, you're going to be you. You'll find that the stress of impressing your in-laws is causing you to lash out at others. Then it's time that you do something about it. Take a step back and assess, why are you feeling so insecure about this time spent with your spouse's parents? Now, this one is very near and dear to my heart because I used to have in-laws that used to drive me crazy at the holidays, and I would try very hard to please my mother-in-law, and I never succeeded. And I finally figured out that if I pleased myself, she fell in line, and we were both happier. So don't be out there to bend over backwards trying to do something for them that isn't going to work, because if you're just you, it's probably going to work better in the long run anyway. In short, your level of Zen will create a much more enriching environment for your in-laws and for your own mental health. Number 14, toxic family members. I certainly had toxic family members in my life as I was growing up, and we always spent the holidays with the same family members. So set the scene that the holidays are for love and gratitude. Set parameters before the get-together, whether it's virtual or an in-person outdoor occasion. But with whoever the toxic person is, have a beforehand conversation in a firm but loving way. Set parameters and don't let them be ignored by pulling that family member aside and reiterating the rules when they get out of control. You don't want one toxic family member to ruin it for everybody who's in your holiday party, whether it's virtual or whether it's in person, like an outdoor barbecue or something. I know these are a little bit different days. But remember that the holidays are for love and gratitude, and all family members are expected to show that respect. And just pull the toxic person aside and make sure they clearly understand that, and that if they have an issue with anything during the party, they are more than welcome to discuss it with you when the party is over. Cut the obnoxious behavior off before it begins, and you will enjoy the holidays to a much greater degree. For those family members that seem to drain all of the positivity out of every room, there's an easy way to shut them down before their words can ruin your zen. Articulate your feelings in a non-confrontational way, and that will help those negative family members come down without hurting their feelings. Now, one advantage of doing a virtual Christmas party or Thanksgiving party is you can mute them and tell them ahead of time that if they get negative and they start to drain the energy off of the rest of the gathering, that you're going to do that. Because, again, they can have their conversation with you when everybody else is not on the call after the call is over. Number 15, just be you and forget perfection. You are wonderful just the way you are, and you're enough. I know so many women grow up thinking that they're not enough. You're enough already. You are wonderful just the way you are, and there's only one of you. I love Joan Didion's quote that she's decided to be herself because everyone else is taken. So be you. It's important that you be you. Your family enjoys you because of you. So give up on the perfection and don't try to be anybody else. Repeat to yourself every morning words from a woman that I follow that I adore named Sark in her book, Succulent Wild Woman. You are ripe, succulent, and juicy, and you are filled with joy and love. So give yourself some love and just be you. 16, forget the perfectionism. Stop obsessing about doing it all. Nobody expects you to be perfect. And the world is not going to end if the house is a little bit cluttered or the dinner is on the table a few minutes late. Focus your energy on enjoying the people in your love. Holidays are a great time when we all get together. Don't ruin it for yourself by getting all twisty over whatever hasn't gone exactly correctly. Those will actually make the best stories for holidays in the future. So just be you and go with the flow, and if something goes wrong, laugh about it. There was a time when one of my aunts took one of those bottles of whipped cream and she was going to squirt it all over the pie, and she got out of control and was squirting it all over everyone in the kitchen and laughing hysterically. And we all had whipped cream all over us. That became the family story to tell at every Thanksgiving because that was not like her, and it became this moment of joy where she was just having a very good time and being herself. So forget the perfectionism. Don't sweat the small stuff, and your holiday will be much more enjoyable. Number 17, no matter what happens, remember to breathe. Look up the Dr. Andrew Weil 478 breathing exercise on YouTube and do it with him until it's second nature. I do it a couple of times a day, every day, because it resets my parasympathetic nervous system and keeps my stress below the toxic stress line. And when I first got sick with autoimmune disease, my stress had almost depleted my cortisol to Addison's disease. So I am never going back there, and I can tell when my cortisol gets low because then I get chronic fatigue. So make sure that you do stress-releasing exercises that will help you keep your stress under control. If you want some other exercises other than the Dr. Andrew Weil exercise, I actually put out a little desktop book of stress exercises that you can buy on Amazon that has a whole bunch of different stress exercises that you can use to mix them up, but just do them every couple of hours to let the top off your stress before it's out of control and crosses into toxic stress. Other ways to eliminate stress, number 18. One of the best ways is right here in this fleshy place between your thumb and your forefinger. It's called the Hoku spot in traditional Chinese. And if you pinch that and you breathe, it will release stress from your entire body. So if you need to do that and you don't want to be breathing in a group of people and you don't want them to know that you're releasing your stress, just do this for a minute. It will have an amazing effect on your stress level. Make sure that you apply a firm pressure there for at least 30 seconds because that will reduce stress and tension in your upper body. And if you start to feel overwhelmed in any way by holiday chaos, give your hand a squeeze and take a deep breath, and that will bring you back down. 19, make sure you get that great 7 hours of sleep. Your body will be more prepared for whatever may come, and you can approach it all with humor and with love. Number 20, self-care. This is back to making sure your cup is full. You are important. And this is your holiday too. So make sure you pamper yourself throughout the holiday season. You should be pampering yourself all the time, but it's even more important through the holiday season because as the mom or the daughter or the lead female, most likely, most people are going to be counting on you to set the tone of the holiday. So make sure you take care of you so that you can set the tone of the holiday. By making time just for you, you are fully present and giving to others. You must keep that cup full to be able to give to everyone else. Favorite ways that I have of taking care of me. Take an Epsom salt bath with lavender bubble bath and argan oil. The argan oil keeps my skin nice and supple, and I have a tendency towards dry skin, so by taking a hot bath on a regular basis, the argan oil is very important. The lavender relaxes me, and I do this before bed, and it allows me to get my full 7 hours of sleep, and it releases all my stress. And the Epsom salts give me an extra little boost of magnesium, which also helps me keep my stress levels down. So it's a great way to take care of me. Get up every hour and stretch for 1 minute. We just talked about that. Buy flowers for your favorite spots in your home and put them all over the place. If they bring you joy, buy a couple bunches of flowers and split them up all over the house. Use a wonderful non-synthetic essential oil in a diffuser and fill the house with fragrance that your body and emotions love. My favorite is lemon verbena. And I love lavender, I use it a lot, and I love things that are vanilla in flavoring. But I only like essential oils that are not synthetic. Take an herbal tea break in the afternoon. My favorite is chamomile, but I also really like Egyptian licorice. I like drinking herbal teas. They calm me down, they warm me up, and it's a lovely thing to take as an afternoon break. Here we go again, laugh. Make sure you laugh on a regular basis. You'll be surprised how much tension that relieves from your body. Light candles. I used to call my fireplace my dining room, my coffee table in my living room, and I had candles all the way across it, which I would light, and then that would relax me. I love candles. Just make sure if you're going to use real candles that you are very cautious around them, and that if you have pets, like my 2 little kittens at the moment, that you control where the fire is and that it's not near them. Play classical music or light jazz. That will relax you and set the mood. Sit down and pet your pets. Giving them love does them good and does you good, and it's a great stress reliever. read. I often don't think I have enough time to enjoy my true love of reading. So by sitting down and giving yourself an hour just to enjoy a great novel or to read something that you really want to read is a lovely thing for you to do for you. If you live some distance from your family, call them every week before the holidays and tell them how much you love them. And if it's the week before the holiday and you have someone like a mom that lives some distance from you, call her every day and tell her that you love her. You have no idea how much that will mean to her in the end. So make sure you stay in close contact with the people you love. You don't have to get together in person for them to know that you love the heck out of them. So be generous with your time and call them and let them know. Learn to say no unless you really want to do it. If you're coping with your fears, write them down and face them. There's something about writing fears down that starts to release them. Once these thoughts are on paper, they aren't nearly as scary anymore. And then burn the paper and let these thoughts dissolve into the universe by letting them go. Number 21, move. It's really important, no matter how crazy the holiday season is, that you continue to move. Whether you decide to take a break and go to the gym, or you decide to lay down and do yoga. My husband takes a virtual yoga class on a regular basis. Just because we're isolated doesn't mean that you can't continue to do that. Or if you want to jump on your rebounder, which is my exercise of choice, or if you want to go take a walk outdoors, which you can always do and remain socially isolated, movement is good for your body and your soul. My favorite way to take a walk is to take a walk with all your senses. When you walk out the door, notice how the air feels on your skin. Use your eyes and look up. Is it a blue sky today? Are there big white fluffy clouds? We have mountains right in front of us. I take a look at the mountains. Are they out today? Because even though I'm only 5 miles away from the base, sometimes we can see them, sometimes we can't. Make sure that you see and feel everything. Are there birds up in the sky? And as you walk out your driveway and down your street, start to notice the plants. Are there flowers blooming that weren't blooming the last time you took the walk? Do your neighbors have new plants? Have they reseeded their grass? What can you smell that's new and different? Feel the textures. If you cross in front of a tree, feel it and feel the textures and feel the sensation from your touch. Hug a tree and ask it for advice. That's something I did on a trip to Sedona, and the tree had a lot of advice for me. No one was more surprised than I was. So try it. You might just be surprised at what the tree has to say to you. So when you get outside, use all your senses. Smell what's in the air, use your eyes, feel things, smell the smells. It's wonderful when you take a walk with all your senses. Hike your mood with sunlight is number 22. If you're feeling it all down, an unrecognized problem of the holiday season is actually a byproduct of the fact that the seasons are changing. Now you're in a new time zone, and that impacts your body, and there's different sunlights at different hours, and that's impacting your body. So as you're changing from fall to winter and the daylight is diminishing, the weather causes us to spend more time indoors, and many people are affected in some degree or another by seasonal affective disorder. It's a subtle but very real condition that can cast a pall over the whole season and be a stress source and a source of unhappiness during a time when people just expect to feel the opposite. So many of us have isolated for so much this year. The effects of seasonal affective disorder could even be stronger this year than it is in most. So your antidote for this is to get out whenever there's sunshine and walk. Enjoy the sun. Get the sun beaming down on your face and feel the warmth. Even if you're in freezing cold weather and it's snowing outside, get outside and feel the sun. And if you're inside, sit close to a window that the sun is coming in so that you're still enjoying the sunlight. It stimulates the production of feel-good serotonin and also will relieve SAD, seasonal affective disorder, which actually impacts millions of Americans each year. To ease SAD symptoms, spend as much time outdoors or near a window on sunny days as you can, or ask your doctor about phototherapy, which is a treatment using a box that emits full spectrum light. But no matter what, get out of the house, even if it's only for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Get out of the house and enjoy what sunlight is available. Number 23, if you're feeling at all depressed, take a whiff of citrus and make it a real essential oil that's citrus. There are lots of them. I have several. I have a citrus combination essential oil that I use. I have lemon. I have orange. They all smell sensational. Put them on a hanky and then tuck it in a pocket. And whenever you feel like your mood is starting to darken, take a whiff of the citrus because it will brighten your mood. Researchers studying depression have found that certain citrus fragrances boost feelings of well-being and relieve stress by upping your norepinephrine, a hormone that impacts your mood. I might have just mispronounced that. Norepinephrine. It's a hormone that will be released that will make you feel better. For an all-day pick-me-up, dab that little bit of lemon or orange essential oil on your body. Put it into a little coconut oil first so that it doesn't burn your skin, and then just enjoy the smell. Number 24, walk away from worries. The rhythm and repetition of walking actually will have a tranquilizing effect on your brain, and it will decrease anxiety and improve your sleep. If you're wrestling with ants, which are anxious negative thoughts, which is a term from Dr. Amen, the brain guy who's on PBS. I love the term ants because I find worrying thoughts just as annoying as the ants that come into my kitchen. Make sure that you work on having your inner champion voice being louder than your inner critic. If I'm having a problem with worry, and my mother was a worrier and I inherited it from her, ended up it was a hormone deficiency in me, and there was a supplement that my functional doctor put me on for 6 months that evened me out, and I don't worry anywhere near as much as I used to. But I used to actually sit down with a piece of paper and write down all the things that were ants in my brain, and then I would let my inner champion tell my brain why that was ridiculous. Because your brain doesn't always tell you the truth, so let your inner champion come out and silence that inner critic or that inner downer that's inside your brain, and don't let it take a hold of you. Drown out your worries with positivity and get outside, and the rhythm of walking will let them go. Number 25. This one I think is especially important for this year. I want you to honor the loved ones that you might have lost. With coronavirus or any other disease that's been in your family, or a close relative that's been struggling with something, if they have passed to the other side, it might be difficult to celebrate the holiday season if you've lost that person who is very dear to you, or if distance is making it difficult for you to spend time together with your other relatives. So spend this holiday season reflecting on the special memories that you had with this person who has passed to the other side of the veil, and how it will help you honor the person you have lost by doing something meaningful in their honor. I like to write a note to my loved ones and put it in a secure ashtray or large-sided dish. And after I write the love note, I like to light it and release it to the universe, because then I feel it gets delivered to them. It's a very cathartic celebration for me that releases all my sadness and allows me to celebrate the joy that I'm remembering when that person was here with me in this life. The ceremony will help you feel closer to the person you have lost and are missing. And if you're unable to spend physical time with loved ones, make sure you stay closely in touch with your loved ones virtually, because they're missing that person too. So you might want to have a little ceremony all together in a separate ceremony that's virtual on Zoom. Okay, then just some general comments about the holiday. Practice acceptance. The holidays will bring up thoughts and memories of the following: what's changed. The holidays will highlight everything that's changed in your life, whether it's a divorce or a death or a son who's making his first trip back home after going away to college. All of these things can unsettle you and add to holiday stress, so practice acceptance. Practice acceptance for what has stayed the same. For others, it's the monotonous sameness of family holiday gatherings that actually depress them. The same faces, the same jokes, the same food on the same china plates. Acceptance means being realistic. Acceptance is a form of mindfulness that helps us see things as they are, absent of the history that we have or the stories that we tell. Practicing acceptance allows us to avoid the stress that is demanded from perfection and allows us to let it go. So think about past situations that have caused you discomfort or have caused you joy and are no longer present, and accept them and let them go. Do not bring up these emotions from some past event that is not happening in the now. Living in the now is really important. So do everything you can to stay in the now. Something that happened in the past may or may not happen again. So don't go living it like it's going to happen this year, because it's not. By staying in the now, you only need to react to it if it does happen again, and then you'll deal with it. Remember, you're not the same person this time as you were the last time, and neither is the other player, so it's highly possible that it will never happen again. Next thing is learn to practice compassion. Really important this holiday, maybe more than ever, because of all of the social isolation that we've dealt with. Mindfulness encompasses far more than paying attention to our breath. When we tune into the present moment and take time to recognize our feelings and emotions, we become more open-hearted. Compassion strengthens as we become more accepting and learn to see things as they really are. We begin to understand that we are each far more alike than we are different, and we naturally extend our compassion to others. Stressful holiday situations often involve others, and stress arises when we become trapped in the cycles of old familiar patterns. Butt heads with difficult bosses or get stuck in long lines with holiday shoppers, even if you are 6 feet separated from each other. Practicing compassion will set us free from our habitual reactivity. When we practice mindfulness, we're able to expand the pause between action and response. With this space, we can make better decisions, and compassion comes from a feeling of connection and the recognition that we're all equal in our longing for happiness. So no matter what happens, be compassionate to the other player. Finally, practice gratitude. Again, I talked about how I do it every morning, and it has made a huge positive difference in my life. Gratitude is a powerful tool we can use to change our perspective on stress. Mindful gratitude practices help us shift the perception by asking us to focus on what's going well versus what's gone wrong. When we practice gratitude, we keep sight of what's really important to us, and we can be grateful for moments of stress because they teach us something. And there's something in everything that will teach us something. If you want to watch my entire podcast on gratefulness, it was my very first podcast, so go back and listen, because gratitude impacts every relationship in your life, whether it's with your spouse or your children or your mother or other family members, whether it's with your employees or your boss or your customers. Being grateful improves the quality of your relationships with everyone and will bring joy to everyone that you're practicing gratitude with. And then my very final comment is prioritize your wellness. I know it's the holiday, but having fun does not mean ignoring the fact that you've made some big strides with your wellness this year and that you've put some new habits in place. So make sure that you leave those wonderful habits in place even through the holiday. Make sure that you're well nourished, make sure that you're well rested, make sure that you're still eating the rainbow from a farm as close to you as possible. And if you don't have a farm that's still selling produce, make sure you're eating organic produce that's frozen so that you're still getting all the colors of the rainbow in your diet on a regular basis, because that too will increase serotonin in your gut, which will make you happy. So always remember to prioritize your wellness, because it will make the holidays a lot more fun. So that's my entire podcast on what to do for the stressors of the holiday. I hope I've given you some great ideas to plan ahead so that all of these stressors that make you crazy don't make you crazy this year, even though it's probably going to be a virtual holiday. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.